Good morning, Kip One Primary. This is Excellence with Mr. Jennings. We're going to start off like we do every excellence class and start off with our excellence mantra. Respect what's mine, respect what's not. Respect our time, respect all thought. Work hard, try your best, take heart, shake the stress. Be kind and never give up. Rain or shine, I am enough. I'm going to read that one more time. Make sure we're reading all together. Respect what's mine, respect what's not. Respect our time, respect all thought. Work hard, try your best, take heart, shake the stress. Be kind and never give up. Rain or shine, I am enough. Last week we talked about never giving up. This week we're going to be talking about rain or shine. Rain or shine. This means on good or bad days, on happy or sad days, on strong days or weak days. Make sure you're trying your best, never giving up. Keep doing all the things that we've learned, showing optimism, and always thinking about the positive. So it's easy to think about on those bad days to give up, but you have to think on your bad to stay positive as well. On those sad days, making sure that you're staying positive, making sure that on those weekdays that you're staying positive and showing optimism, trying your best even when things are not as great as you want them to be. You want to never give up. You want to always be trying your best. Doing all the things that we've learned in our excellence mantra will help you do these things. Optimism means that you want to look towards the positive. You want to be positive. Positive means that you're not looking so much at those negative things or those sad things or those bad things or those weak things, but you want to think about the good, the happy, the strong, and thinking about everything that we've learned throughout. Just like Mr. Kid President said, you are awesome, and I want you guys to think about your road to being to awesomeness. In order to be the person that you want to be in the future, you need to do the things that are important now. Whether you want to be a basketball star or a doctor or a entrepreneur or a biologist or a chemist or a teacher or a principal, no matter what you want to do, you need to focus on what you're doing now, staying positive to help you be that awesome person because we need you here in school, and you also need to be doing everything that you can at home to take care of yourselves, to make sure that your mind is gaining knowledge every day to be the persons that you are destined to be. Remember, we moved from science for a couple of weeks and we're now talking about exploring identity and community. This is lesson 3. The name of this lesson is Connecting to the Past. Learning objectives. In this lesson, Kipsters will be able to understand that identity is a dynamic, complex, and personal, and it affects both how we see ourselves and how we interact with others. Kipsters will also be able to understand that our environment influences how we understand ourselves and others. Kids will be able to make connections between the history and literature they study and their current lived experience. We have a couple of different questions that we're going to be answering throughout our unit. What makes me who I am? What parts of my identity do I choose for myself? And what parts are determined for me by others, by society, or by chance? How does my identity influence the choices available to me and the choices that I make? How can we work together to build kinder and more inclusive school and local communities? We're thinking about this all the time. Essential questions to this lesson. To what extent do we inherit or receive our identities? How do the legacies of older generations influence our identity? So there's a couple of different things that we inherit or receive as far as when it's coming to our identities. For example, your skin color, your height, your eye color. These type of things are things that you inherit from your parents. Like depending on how tall or short your parents are, kind of will depict how tall or short you may be. Your parents' eye color will make your eye colors a certain color for the most part. Your skin color. Usually, our skin colors are the same skin colors that our parents have. However, when we're talking about our identities are something different that we don't all the way inherit from our parents. For example, like religion. So, like whether you're Christian or Muslim or a Catholic, depending on your religion, these are things that your parents may take you to church or they may take you to pray, but they don't. But you don't inherit these things. You can change them if you want to. Your love for sports. So you just because your parents love sports doesn't mean you're going to love sports. Or just because you love sports doesn't mean that your parents love sports. So this is something that you choose to love or not love. Or having knowledge. The knowledge that you gain every day is through you. You decide to learn different things. You decide to work your hardest. You don't inherit hard work. You work hard, and that's part of your identity. So there's different things that we get from our parents, and some things that we just don't get from our parents that we learn from ourselves. But the legacies of older generations can help influence our identities. For example, we talk about our hope values, honor, optimism, perseverance, enthusiasm, love. These are things that we are teaching you guys so you can learn to be these different things. However, this is a choice. This is the best choice because these things will help you get further. However, you choose to do these things. You don't have to. How is each of us connected to the past? How has history influenced who each of us are today? So our past kind of tells us what we want to do for our future. So we know in the past, long time ago, about 80 years ago to 100 years ago, there was segregation. So when we talk about segregation, we talk about different races that were not able to do things equally. Now we have equal things, but the past help us learn that different people like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, different people did specific things to help us get equal access to different things. So if we never had Martin Luther King, if we didn't have Malcolm X and people like Rosa Parks, there still may be segregation. So their past helped our future. So things that your parents did, things that your parents did, so your grandparents and your grandparents' parents, things that they did in the past helped mold our future. Because if they didn't do the things that they were supposed to do to in the past to help us become equal, then we wouldn't have equal schools. So we wouldn't be able to go to school at KIP One Primary. We wouldn't be able to go to the same water fountains. We wouldn't be able to go to the same jobs. We wouldn't be able to get the same books. So our grandparents and our parents' parents and our parents' parents helped us get our future that we have now. So that helped connect us. So I want to read an essay. The name of this essay is Object Memories by an author named Tova. I don't like throwing things away. By things, I don't mean chairs or blankets or pans that are too small. I mean boxes of collected scraps and objects from all sorts of different events and times of my life. What seems like pieces of trash to everyone else are objects that hold all of my stories. It's not so much the fear of letting the things itself go, but rather a terrible fear of losing whatever time or memory the object has come to signify. Most of me understands that forgetting is just how life works. Most of me is fine with that. It's nice to know that I don't have to remain tied to the identity and opinions of the person I was 3 years ago and 4 years ago and 10 years ago. But while most of my happily accepts the changes and replacements each year brings, a tiny part of me rejects them. This tiny, fearful part of me rebels against the displacing and replacing of memory and identity. So this is just talks about how Tova collects different things from our past, and we're going to get a better idea of what that looks like and what that means. Next, we're going to watch a video about a girl in her wooden shoes and what these wooden shoes meant to her and how she got these wooden shoes.
On January 12, 2010, an earthquake devastated the small island of Haiti. As the earth shook, people were running all over the streets, trying to find a secure place. I saw a house that had fallen into pieces and plenty of people lying dead on the streets, some without a head, arm, a leg. My grandma and I had to leave quickly, so we only had time to take the most important things. I grabbed our cell phones, she grabbed a pair of yellow wooden shoes, and we went off. 2 days after my 10th birthday, my grandfather gave me a pair of yellow wooden shoes. They were the weirdest shoes that I ever seen in my life. Aside from being yellow, they were enormous, shiny, and had large beaks. They also had flower designs on each side. They were very clean, therefore, they always had the smell of a newly bought thing. At first, I hated the pair of shoes because they weren't my style. They were not the kind of birthday gift that I wanted. When he gave me the shoes, I accepted them, but it was not a sincere acceptance. I threw them under my bed and went off. How could a 10-year-old girl love a weird pair of yellow shoes? However, my grandfather never gave up. He was extremely persistent and wanted me to know the story behind them, which he was truly proud of. My grandfather, Francis Jolson, was born in the Dominican Republic. When he was just 17 years old, his parents and him moved to Haiti. This wasn't easy for him, but Grandpa Francis was strong enough to carry his own weight. He was extremely strict with his family, but when he was with his friends, he was eager to have fun. He was compassionate, loved without limits, and appreciated even the smallest things in life. My grandpa used to live in the rural areas of Haiti. There was always a big lack of money in the family. About a year or so after my grandpa got married to my grandmother, Leonie Camille, things were going as well as he planned. Their three children were getting seriously sick. So every day for 15 years, he worked two jobs. He has worked as a salesman, but his primary job was being a comedian. He enjoyed entertaining people. He used to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, put his wooden shoes on, and then go tell stories or act in a play for a certain family. Even when he got paid the money, it was enough to put food on the table for his family. After hearing this intriguing story, I broke into tears. I went to my grandpa and gave him the biggest hug ever. He worked so hard to provide for the woman that he loved. I decided to use these shoes for my project. I was so excited. I went home and asked Grandma about the shoes, but she did not answer me. She looked as scared as my cat Mickey whenever he hears a thunderstorm. She has an innocent look, but whenever she does anything wrong, you will always know because she looks nervous. Having the feeling that she didn't hear me, I asked her the question once again. And that's when she told me that the shoes disappeared. I couldn't believe my ears. I was frustrated. I asked her, how come you never told me this before? Pukisa, why? Grandma replied, I didn't want to see the reaction that I'm seeing right now. But Grandma, what happened? When did this happen? Paria avec moi, talk to me. I said angrily. She responded, calm down, honey. One question at a time. Tears started coming down her eyes. Her crying was contagious. I wanted to cry too, but I couldn't because my anger was stronger than my tears. I never truly knew where Grandpa Fanny's gave me the yellow wooden shoes. After what I had to go through, I realized that a gift is not about its physical appearance, but about how meaningful it is to you. Although the shoes aren't physically with me, they are mentally a part of me. They remind me of former sacrifices, struggles, and effort he made to provide for his family. In a country where you have to be thankful and appreciate everything given to you. When a gift is so important, such as the shoes are to me, the only way that I can express myself is by writing about it.
So that was a story by Castanea, titled Wooden Shoes. What connects the author to his or her past? Is it an object or something else? We're going to help each other answer these questions. I'll read it again. What connects the author to his or her past? Is it an object or something else? Give yourself a couple of seconds to think. What was connecting Castanea to the past? The wooden shoes her grandfather gave her. This is what connected her to the past. This was an object. What does that thing represent to the author? What does it remind this person of about themselves, their identity, or their personal history? So for Castanea, was the wooden shoes. What did these wooden shoes mean to her? Give you a couple seconds to think. What did these wooden shoes mean to Castanea? It represented a time where her grandfather had to work super hard and take care of his three children. Three of those children were sick in Haiti when he moved from the Dominican Republic by himself. And they also had a lack of money. So they didn't have any money. He was by himself in Haiti when he moved from Dominican Republic. He had to work super hard. He worked two jobs to take care of his wife and their three children. So this is what the wooden shoes represented for her. It represented a time in her family where her grandfather was working extremely hard and gave her something that was super meaningful. We're going to read this passage. The name of it is Family Names. Ralph Ellison wrote, "It is through our names that we first place ourselves in the world. Our names, being the gift of others, must be made our own. They must become our mask and our shields and the containers of all those values and traditions which we learn and or imagine as being the meaning of our family familial past." In the documentary, family name filmmaker Mackie Alston, who is white, uncovers the history that unties three present-day families that share his last name, two black and one white. Alston introduces himself in the film with these words: "My grandfather's name was Wallace McPherson. My grandfather's name was Wallace McPherson Alston, and he was a preacher. My father's name is Wallace McPherson Alston Jr., and he's also a preacher. My name is Wallace McPherson Alston III. I dropped out of seminary after 2 years. Okay, so I rebelled. When I was 5, my father put me in a predominantly black public school in Durham, North Carolina. It was where I first met black children with the same last name as me. I remember wondering how this could be, but I felt like this was something I couldn't talk about. We moved north when I was 8, and the issue never really came up again. Recently, I asked my dad about our family history, and he gave me a book. That's where I discovered that the Austins were one of the largest slave owning families in North Carolina. Is something a secret if everybody knows it, but nobody talks about it? I want to know the whole story behind my family name. For many of us, our names can help us learn about our family's histories and ultimately about ourselves. Names not only represent our identities, but also reflect our relationship to society. Throughout history, names have represented in a variety of ways one degree of power and freedom. In the book, Parting the Waters, historian Taylor Branch writes, among the most joyous feelings most frequently mentioned by freed or escaped slaves was the freedom to choose a name. A name was no longer incidental. Family names. What did Malky Alson learn about his name? He learned that many people had his name once he did research. He discovered that Alstons were one of the largest slave owning families in North Carolina. The reason why some of the black people, even though he was white, had the same last name was because his family was one of the largest slave owning families. Like we talked about last week, when there's a white family that has a slave, that slave has the same last name as the um, owner. So the black people had to change their last names to match the names of the slave owners. And this is why, even though we see that you might have different last names as someone and you might look different, Mackie Alston didn't own slaves. His family before him a long time ago did own slaves and they feel bad about it. So usually when people own slaves, when people who are white had owned slaves, they feel bad about it because they were not the people who owned the slaves, but their great grandfathers and great grandmothers. So it felt like a secret because they don't want people to be upset with. History is not the past, it is the present. We carry our history with us. We are our history.
stand up. Hands crossed. Hello, welcome to KOP. Now when you're ready, now you stand up. Have a seat in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We do that silent. We do that at a level 0. Step on your ready. Step 2, stand up. 5, 4, 3, 2. A turkey 5, 6, get ready. Keep up on 5, 6, get ready. We are kids of KOP. We know and always do. And we want to teach and teachers too. We all work together to make it through. And that's the rest of KOP. We're going harder each day. Because we all get strong and knowledge. Our KOP is number 1. Hooray! We're being 5, 4, 3, 2.
See some of our third and some of our fourth graders who were just in kindergarten. So they may not remember this video, or they may have forgotten about this video. What are some things we remember? We can remember 3 years ago when where some of us were in kindergarten and some of us were in first grade. We're connected to the past of this video because not only is that our school KIPP 1 primary, but a lot of our KIPPsters still are in our school, and they are the leaders of our school. So they came from that kindergarten stage all the way up to that third or fourth grade stage, and now being the leaders of our school. The video is teaching us that we're one family, one school, and we're here to get our education while also being able to give entertainment and perform a show for our parents for Fall Feast. And they were able to see us practice. I hope some people remember this video. We see a lot of our friends in that video when they were younger. What is the item that helped you connect to the past? So these can be things that were passed down. So like we seen those wooden shoes that Castanilla had. This can be a toy that you really wanted, that you might not play with anymore, or a toy that you gave to one of your siblings, like your brother, sister, maybe even a cousin. It could be a video like Mr. Jenner just showed, a video that was 3 years ago. And a lot of these kids are super older now, super taller. And you'll be able to see them soon when we get back to school. This can be a picture, an older picture. It can be a parent or family member. So maybe taking a picture of a parent or family member. This can be anything that helps connect you to the past. And then next, what I want you to do is find one of these items. So you can either find an item that was passed down, a toy, a video, a picture of you when you were younger, or a picture that was older, maybe a picture of your family or a picture of your parent when they were older, anything that helps connect you to the past. Then I want you to tell me the importance of that item that you are going to send in. Beginning of our lesson, we talked about these objectives. KIPPsters will be able to understand identity as dynamic, complex, and personal, and it affects both how we see ourselves and how we interact with others. Also, how KIPPsters were able to understand that our environment influences how we understand ourselves and others. Like from Mr. Jennings' video, we were able to see how we're all one team, one family, and we're all students of KOP. Also, finally, we were able to make connections between the history and literature they study and our current lived experiences. And we're going to do this through that picture, video, item, whatever you're going to do to try and send in to Mr. Jennings to help me see something that is important to you. These are our three friends' work here. We have Malcolm, Alasia, and Lazaya. They all did great jobs. Congratulations, Lazaya, on our raffle to win $10. Great job, Malcolm and Alasia. You guys were super close, and I want you guys to do this work as well so you can be in the race to win the $10 for next week. So I'll see you guys next week. You guys did awesome. Remember, to get a part of our raffle, you need to submit your item that connects you to the past and tell me what it helped you remember. This can be a picture, a video, a toy, any item that you want. You just need to tell me the importance of it. See you guys next week.